Oh, hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Didn't see you there. Well, last day of 2016, and I wanted to do a video about Rogue One and troop style play. And so there's going to be spoilers in this. So if you haven't seen it yet and you're like me, turn this off because I'm going to spoil it for you. So because I went in wanting to know nothing about it. This really isn't going to be about Rogue One, but something somewhat. Um, I don't like to know anything before I read a book or see a movie. Nothing at all. And so here's the first spoiler. Rogue One is the events that take place right before A New Hope. What turned out to be Episode 4, the original 1977 Star Wars movie. And essentially, when it says that some rebel spies, intercept or got some plans for the Death Star, this is those spies getting those plans for the Death Star and getting them to the rebels. Okay. So here's here's the other spoiler. Okay. So turn it off now if you really don't want to know what happens. They all die. Okay, they're successful in the mission, but they all bite the dust. And this was a really cool movie because it was, forget all the debates about it and blah blah blah. The CGI, I really loved all the cameos or the old characters kind of showing up there. It was great for me. I get suspended disbelief as soon as I walk in there, and so I had a great time. But it was dark and it was gritty, and I had this very brief interaction with Runeslinger this morning after he had seen it, and yeah, I said something to the effect of it's like really really darker, grittier. And he mentioned, yeah, it's about the followers, not the heroes. And that's true because the whole Star Wars movies it's very pulpy, very very much about these heroic people doing heroic things and very cinematic. And this was not. This was it was heroic, but they all died. It wasn't that usual kind of gamish, if you want my honest opinion, idea where people go out and they save the world, they do heroic things, and they live, you know. And yeah, I kind of made this flippant comment, to him this morning about, or at least my morning, is the idea that a lot of people want to go save the world. They want to play, in whatever RPG they're playing in, but they want their character to live, and then they want to get a medal from the princess, like Han and Luke. And Chewbacca also gets a medal. You don't see him get it in the movie, but I had the Marvel comic book, and it said he got one afterwards. He had to put it on himself because he was too tall. So anyhow, long introduction to this video, but I want to get to the point. I thought it'd be really cool in a role-playing game session to do something like that, where you're playing characters in a situation where maybe it's not predestined they all die, but it's a good chance they're all going to die. However, you know, um, I would love to do that. I think it'd be really cool. So I'd like to get your feedback too, or your experiences with this, because your own singer did say he had some experience with this, but we didn't get a chance to go into any kind of detail. To me, there'd be a few things for me that I would need to make it satisfying. And the first thing is it wouldn't be contrived. Like I would want it to be part of a meaningful campaign. So in other words, I wouldn't want to get together and say, hey, let's go play something like Rogue One, and all of our characters die, but they get this one great thing done. And it's just a one shot. I'd rather have it be part of an existing and meaningful campaign. Second thing, I would really like, that to me would make it fun or worthwhile, is if the characters weren't expendable. So you're not just like generating a bunch of characters to go do this one thing within the context of a campaign. And so I had a video about troop style play not so long ago, and so I'm going to link it down below in the description. And a Samwise 7 RPG, and man, I forget, maybe it was Emergent Play, and Runeslinger actually are the videos that I was kind of doing a video response to. So those will be linked in that video. But the idea of troop style play, being that, like, okay, maybe you have one main character, and there are games that support this, but then they have things like henchmen or followers, and so you have the ability to play those other characters, without the main character. Sometimes I forget the mage game that Tim was mentioning, where it's kind of built, that way. You're supposed to do it that way, and definitely some of the triple Ace games that use Ubiquity, like Leagues of Adventure and All for One, have follower rules. And I've even played, in old school, D&D type games like Lamentations of the Flame Princess. We play with henchmen all the time, and it'd be, I never played my henchman by himself, although I'd really love to do this. That's what one of my other New Year's resolutions I want to do this year, is to do some troop style play, where we characters have henchmen, and sometimes they go off on their own adventures, without the main character. But anyhow, I'm digressing a little bit. But the idea being that I want the characters involved in this heist or caper or espionage or whatever it is we do, Prison Break, to be somewhat meaningful. They wouldn't necessarily have to be the main characters we have, But I'll tell you what, like in my own personal experiences, I had this henchman in the Lamentations of the Flame Princess campaign I played the longest in. My wizard character, finally bit the dust, and his henchman Sheen was I named after a Jimmy Neutron character. All my henchmen were named after Jimmy Neutron characters in that game. Uh, Carl died long before. But Sheen was fourth level when I finally started playing him. But he was already somewhat meaningful to me because we weren't like giving handing out like henchmen that had levels. They were nobodies, and they kind of built their way up there. So anyhow, there would have to be some characters that were meaningful. And last but not least, in order, I think, to pull this off, you need some mature players. They're going to be okay with the idea that, good chance none of these characters are making it, or most of us, are going to die. Most of the characters are going to die in this little adventure or whatever it is, and you might not even be successful. But I'd love to do something like this that would kind of organically show up. And like I'll tell you what, I've had lots of experiences in games and campaigns where there comes a time when like somebody has a secret. There's something you'd like to get from somebody, whether it's an item or information. And so, the party wants to do some kind of espionage or infiltration. And, when a couple things happen, either you just don't do it because it's obvious that it would be, very unintelligent, like good chance the party would die. So you try to figure some other way, around this conundrum. Or often, the game master, and I've been guilty of this, as well, being a game master, will figure out some way to kind of weasel their way into, dumbing down things a little bit and making things a little easier so the party can actually, have this adventure. And that's cheating. And to me, it would be a lot more, dare I say, simulationist if you had one of these, moments where like there was something that was meaningful. It was, whether it was a cause or whether they were just greedy and out for fame, where all of a sudden, it might be cool to send some people in there, do some espionage, but they understood that there was a good chance that they might not make it. Now this, of course, you're not going to have followers that are going to be that fanatically loyal for the most part. So it would have to be a very specific set of circumstances, and definitely to me it would feel cheap if it was contrived. But I've certainly played in games where there was some sort of cause. You play with people that have some motivations where they might risk their life. In a miniature way, that's what my wizard did when he bit the dust, years ago in that Lamentations of the Flame Princess game. He risked himself for 2 rounds, not because he was an altruist, because he had a bit of honor, and because he knew that if the party bought it, he was going to buy it too. So he got into harm's way, and it was a calculated risk. He thought highly of his abilities, and he lost, and he died. But I could see how that would work in a session where it was kind of more of a planned event. So anyhow, that's kind of long-winded, but it really just was compelling. I really, thought it'd be neat to, have that as a moment or a session in a long-term campaign, and maybe you do risk your main character, but if the motivations, were clear and the event was convincing enough, I could see, having a group of characters go into a situation that was, pretty much guaranteed no win. But, big risk, big reward. That was something they needed to do or wanted to do so badly that they were willing to risk their lives in order to do it. And you see how it played out, and something where, more than likely the other people involved in the campaign were going to move on and, remember their brave comrades who fell doing the thing. So have you had experience with this? What do you think about all that? So that's what I'll leave you with for the end of 2016. Troupe style play, Rogue One, and it'd be really cool to do something like that. The end.